We'll go ahead and get started for tonight's meeting. It's the 14th business meeting of the City Board of Directors. This Tuesday, September 5th, 2017. We'll begin with an invocation by Pastor Lamar Trishman and our Pledge of Allegiance led by Director Williams.
Thank you. Join me in a word of prayer. Father God, we thank you for this day you've given us. Thank you for our city leaders here. We are grateful for their service. Thank you for the city of Hot Springs. And Father, we pray that you would bless our city, give these leaders among us wisdom as they make decisions on our behalf. And Father, we recognize that all good things come down from above, from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shifting shadow. We're grateful for your grace to us. In your Son's Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Yeah. Let us pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll call this meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Davidson.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Garcia.
Here.
Foley.
Here.
McCabe.
Here. At this time, we'll consider approval of the agenda. Is there any additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda, including any items on the consent agenda that should be moved to the main body? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I so move, Mayor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Agenda is approved. At this time, we'll have a consideration of the approval of the minutes. We have a special called meeting of August 8th, 2017, and minutes of our regularly held meeting on August 15th, 2017. Is there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes as presented? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I move for approval of the minutes.
Got a
Second.
motion by Director Williams to approve, seconded by
Second.
Director Clark.
Garcia.
Director Garcia. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. Recognition of guests. I'd like to recognize Tim Culbreth to come forward. He has a special invitation announcement to the City Board.
Yes. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you for a moment. My relationship with Jesus Christ directs me and prompts me to pray for those in leadership and in government. And I count it a privilege to do that. There's a group of us that count it a privilege. Their group is called the Garland County Leadership Prayer Breakfast Committee. And once a year, we have an event called the Leadership Prayer Breakfast. And this year, it's October 3rd at 6:20 a.m. And our speaker happens to be here, Chris Chapman. We in the community will pray for those who've been elected to represent and govern our nation, state, county, and city. We'll also pray for those who have been directed to carry out the policies and are there to protect and serve our community, making it safe and a healthy place to live. I'd like to give you a personal invitation to join us for breakfast on us, and this will be a time where we'll say thank you and also pray for you. Thank you for this opportunity. If you have any questions, you can call me. So, thank you, Pat.
Thank you, Tim. This time we have 3 proclamations. The first one is National Colonial Heritage Month, which will be presented to Patricia McLemore and Judy Robbins. Will you come to the podium and I'll read? Proclamation, City of Hot Springs, Arkansas. Whereas the Arkansas Society Colonial Dames 17th Century is sponsoring National Colonial Heritage Month during the month of October 2017, and whereas the National Colonial Heritage Month reminds citizens of the first courageous settlers who arrived in America and who determine the direction for the formation of our country. And whereas the members of this society, by virtue of their lineal descent from those early arrivals, feel an obligation to work for the preservation of the priceless legacy that these early arrivals left to American citizens. And whereas they continue to convey the true meaning of the inheritance of reminding us that our privilege to live in a free country stem from loving our country, obeying its laws, respecting its flag, and defending against all enemies. Now, therefore, I, Pat McKay, Mayor of the City of Hot Springs, on behalf of the Board of Directors, do hereby proclaim October 2017 as National Colonial Heritage Month in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and I encourage all citizens to observe this month as a means of reinforcing this priceless legacy inherited with our citizenship in order to preserve our rich culture and heritage with profound respect for the principles upon which our country was founded. In witness whereof I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the city to be affixed on this 5th day of September in the year of our Lord 2017. Pat McKay, Mayor. We already did all the picture taking. Thank you very much.
Thank
If you
you.
want to make a comment, you're free to.
We appreciate you and thank you very much.
Our second proclamation will be presented to Peggy Cara, and it will be read and presented by City Director Williams, who teaches Constitution at a local area university. So, Director Williams.
Actually, Mr. Mayor, with the slight editorial revision, I teach American National Government for the University of Arkansas at Little Rock's Benton campus, and we have been studying the Constitution. In fact, I always give my students their very own pocket Constitution, and today we read the Bill of Rights aloud in class. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to do this.
Certainly.
Whereas our founding fathers, in order to secure the blessings of liberty for themselves and their posterity, did ordain and establish a Constitution for the United States of America, and whereas it is of the greatest importance that all citizens fully understand the provisions and principles contained in the Constitution in order to effectively support, preserve, and defend it against all enemies, and whereas the 227th anniversary of the signing of the Constitution provides an historic opportunity for all Americans to remember the achievements of the framers of the Constitution and the rights, privileges, and responsibilities they afforded us in this unique document. And whereas the independence guaranteed to American citizens, whether by birth or naturalization, should be celebrated by appropriate ceremonies and activities during Constitution Week, September 17th to the 23rd, as designated by the proclamation of the President of the United States of America in accordance with Public Law 915. Now, therefore, I, Pat McKay, Mayor of the City of Hot Springs, on behalf of the Board of Directors, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd, 2017, as Constitution Week in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and urge all citizens to reflect during that week on the many benefits of our federal Constitution and the privileges and responsibilities of American citizenship. And witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city to be affixed on this 5th day of September in the year of our Lord 2017. Pat McKay, Mayor.
Just say thank you and to let everybody know that Daughters of the American Revolution will be down at the bathhouse getting people to sign a mock declaration and handed out those little Constitution books. And we will be visiting schools and teaching 3rd and 4th graders a little bit about the Constitution. In fact, we have Abigail Adams is personally going to visit 3rd and 4th graders. So thank you very much.
I think all the ladies, Patricia, Judy, Carol Sue, Kara, come on up to the podium. We have one more to read here. Peggy Kara, I'm sorry. We have a Star Spangled Banner Day proclamation, City of Hot Springs, Star Spangled Banner Day. Whereas during the War of 1812, Francis Scott Key, after having anxiously watched from afar the bombardment of Fort McHenry throughout the night of September 13, 1814, saw his country's flag still flying in the early morning of the following day. And whereas this stirring evidence of the failure of the prolonged attack inspired him to write the Star-Spangled Banner, our national anthem. And whereas the Star-Spangled Banner became our national anthem on March 3rd, 1931, when President Hubert Hoover signed Public Law 823. And now, therefore, I, Pat McKay, Mayor of the City of Hot Springs, on behalf of the Board of Directors, do hereby proclaim September 14th, 2017, as Star-Spangled Banner Day in Hot Springs, Arkansas. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city to be affixed on this 5th day of September in the year of our Lord, 2017. Pat McKay, Mayor. Thank you again.
Thank you. We appreciate you, and we will be meeting with K through 4 on Star Spangled Banner Day on the 14th and giving them little flag pins and some little brochures. Thank you.
At this time, we'll have our city manager's report. Mr. Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, first of all, I want to mention Saturday and Sunday I was in Beaumont, Texas with our police chief. He and I had this harebrained idea to take water down there to some of the folks, and when we got there, there's only one highway in. It was Highway 90. All the interstates were closed going in and out of Beaumont. I think they're open now today. We met their police chief there. We met police from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I think about a third of their department was there. It was really a powerful thing to see some of the devastation on the ground level, because we see the pictures on CNN and from a helicopter. It looks pretty amazing because Texas is big and it's really incredibly flat. I hadn't spent much time there in my life ever. And so really it's just a giant floodplain, most of that area, and it's the size of it was. But there were little sections of the highway we were going along, and on both sides of the road, as far as you could see, chest-high water and hundreds and hundreds of homes. People, kind of walking along the streets, lots of National Guard stuff, a few helicopters, some big plumes of smoke from probably some chemical plants you see that on TV as well. I have one pickup truck, and it was loaded down with almost 2 tons of water and some toys and diapers that my wife had, and we got down there, and we saw lots of exhausted police officers loading and unloading things at their supply depot. They promised to come back and help us if we ever have an earthquake. I'm not counting on that because I don't want the earthquake. But it was a very powerful thing, and Director Williams was handing out these FEMA cards here earlier, and tomorrow our fire department, I think they kind of decided we had a pretty good idea there, so they're taking a convoy essentially, and they're leaving to go to, I think there's about 20 different distribution centers in the Houston area. We went to Beaumont primarily because the water was such a problem there. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Sam's Club here in Hot Springs, because I went there at 8:30. They close at 9. I didn't know that. I've never been to Sam's Club until this weekend. I went there at 8:30 and found out that there's a night manager I'm not sure where in the order of authority he is, that person, but his name is Kevin. I told him what we were doing, and he gave us $1 off of every case, and we had the truck pretty well squatted down, and that was really generous. He didn't have to do that, so shout out to Sam's Club here. They've donated, I think, as a company, probably millions of dollars worth of merchandise, but they were certainly kind and generous to us, and they were very effective at operating a forklift without punching a hole in my truck, so I was happy about that. And anyway, it was just a very moving experience. I'd encourage people, if they want to donate. Again, Director Williams passed out these things, and I can just tell you firsthand when we got down there, the things they need the most. Their water pumps yesterday were 12 feet underground. They have repair crews that can work at 6 feet, so they couldn't they couldn't really do anything. Now, when they get their water up, it's going to be not potable water, so the drinking water. And man, it was humid down there. I thought it was hot here in Arkansas until I got down there, and it was very, very warm. But anyway, they need water. They need food that's non-perishable food. They need trash bags, underwear of all shapes and sizes for all shapes and sizes of humans, diapers, moist towelettes, garbage bags, paper towels, and can openers. Believe it or not, can openers are one of the things. So, anyone so inclined, the need is real and it's powerful when you see it firsthand. So anyway, I want to also thank Chief Stacey for so eagerly volunteering to help me with the driving because it was a long day. I also want to mention a couple of weeks ago, I indicated in an article in the newspaper some frustration about not having seen the engineering report from the Arlington Hotel. It's their report. It's their property. I understand that. I respect that. I was a little frustrated. And to the extent that I implied that Mid-South Engineering may not have done a thorough report, I want to apologize for that, retract that, because their reputation here in the city among our staff is exceptional. I think they probably do really good work, and there's probably some pretty compelling and scary things in that report that and I know that our building official has read the report multiple times, and so we're concerned and we're just hoping for the best, and we really hope that as long as the sun's out, to me, it's time to work on things and fix them, so that we don't get into the winter months and have a more concern down there at the property. So we're hopeful for that, and we're eager to see some sort of application so that we can see some progress there. Also, a purchase order for $28,000 has been issued for the removal of trip hazards on our sidewalks on Central Avenue from Whittington to Grand. Advertising and Promotions has approved $12,000 purchase order to remove trip hazards along the south side of the Convention Boulevard out here. And horizontal cutting and shaving methods of these trip hazards will save the city this year about $107,000 compared to removing entire sidewalk panels and realigning them. So any of you that spend time in our national parks, you probably have seen the panels of sidewalk, and they look like they're shaved off, and you see new exposed rock there on the sidewalk. That's what we're going to be doing. Again, that's just to mitigate those trip hazards and keep our sidewalks safer. Also, the Hot Springs Fire Department will begin their annual hydrant flow testing citywide this week and continue through the end of November. Water discoloration may occur during the testing, but it won't pose any health hazards. The City of Hot Springs will also honor area first responders on Monday, September 11th, with a parade on Central Avenue in the downtown area. There will be fire apparatus and police cars, ambulances, and other specialty equipment showcased during the procession. Parade commences from the 100 block of Central at 7 p.m. Also want to suggest you mark your calendars for Food Truck Friday, coming up on Friday, September 29th. We'll have some local food trucks there. Director Foley has endorsed one of them today. I haven't had the privilege of eating there, but I'd like to. They're gathered at the Hot Springs Farmers and Artisans Market from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. There'll be food, music, and fun. Again, that's Friday, September 29th. And then some of you may notice when you came in tonight, there's a little bit of there's a hole and some things that are happening over here on the corner, and that's to install a new generator that will power City Hall in the event of, and I shouldn't say if the power grid goes down, but when. I've noticed that that's a challenge here. And so we will have a generator there. You remember about a year and a half ago, we closed City Hall for a whole day just because we didn't have power. So we'll have one here, and then there's going to be another one that powers the building next door. So I want to thank Bill Burrow and other people on our staff for getting that project finished. And then Federal Engineering has also completed their radio system. We have 3 strong bid proposals, and I'm really glad that we rebid that because we didn't have 3 strong proposals that would have provided us a framework with which to negotiate a final deal. I think all 3 look like they could potentially do that, and one of them it's Motorola Harris, and then Motorola submitted a second one that's it's an A-WIN alternative. So it does meet our spec, and it also includes A-WIN service. So I'm looking forward to reviewing those. The report is done from Federal Engineering, but our review team, consisting primarily of first responders and system users, are making their recommendations to me in the next month. And then after that, I'll be bringing it to the board for action. So I'm glad that we're back on track with that project. And, Your Honor, that's the conclusion of my report.
Thank you. At this time, we'll hear from any director who might have an announcement of an upcoming event. Director Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to invite everyone to attend an upcoming community meeting in District 5 that will be September 14th at 4:30 p.m. at the Center in Forest Lakes. It's located at 305 Forest Lakes Boulevard, and our city manager, Mr. David Frazier, will be our special guest and speaker, and food and drinks will be served. So please come out and meet, eat, and greet.
I like that.
Very good. Thank you. Any other announcements?
I have
Yeah,
one.
Director Jones.
I'm going to try to remember to tell it right. Gateway, this is our third year having a fall festival. And we're going to do the fall festival again, along with, I said, Sheila Pascal and the health resource people. We have about 8 other groups, without me calling their names, and it'll be either the end of October or the first or second week of November. Next meeting, I'll know exactly when it's going to be, and Gateway always sponsors the chili cook-off, and I guess I'll have to get the firemen or the police to make mine because they always win, you know. So we're not going to ask them to make any. I'm going to ask them to make me some. Mr. Mayor, thank you very much, and I'll have more later, next meeting.
Very good. Thank you, Director
Thank you.
Jones. Any other announcements? I want to ask Assistant Police Chief Chapman, are you here for the duration of the meeting? I don't want to put pressure on you to stay, but because if you are, I'll make a comment. If you're not, I'll make a comment now.
I'm here for the duration.
Okay. Want to abide by our own rules here of upcoming events and not announcements. Thank you. We have a consent agenda is our next order of business, and these tend to be of routine nature and are voted on en masse. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Got a motion by Director Clark, seconded by Director Jones. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
McCabe.
All right.
It's adopted.
At this time, we'll move on to new business and consider Resolution R17-134. Council, could you please read the resolution by title?
Resolution R17-134, a resolution awarding a bid to Seven Valleys Concrete LLC for the Godwin Pump Backup System Project. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Very good. Motion to adopt.
I so move.
We got a motion by Director Jones, seconded by
Second.
Director Davidson. Thank you. At this time, we'll hear a report from City Engineer Gary Carnahan. Mr.
Thank you,
Carnahan.
Mayor and directors. We have 4 large pump stations at critical locations in our wastewater system that currently do not have any backup power. We talked earlier about that problem that we have here in the city. And so we have purchased Godwin pumps, which we put in line in the wet well at the pump stations, and they don't have to provide standby power for the station. They're gas powered, and they just pump the flow until we have time to either have power return or, if the pump station needs repair, to repair the pump station. So they really serve 2 purposes. And we've already purchased those, and you've approved that previously. So now we have bid the installation of those, the piping and electrical and concrete work necessary to install those on site. And we received 3 bids, and our engineering firm has recommended that we award the contract to the low bidder, which is Seven Valleys Concrete LLC, in the amount of $392,000. So we're asking tonight if you would approve the award of that contract.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Carnahan? Director Garcia.
Just a couple of follow-up questions, because in comparing their bids, the Hot Springs company and the other company that bid that was higher, they're, especially on pump station number 1, the other 2 bids was twice as much or higher on that. I mean, that's a significant difference on pump station 1. And they're here in Hot Springs, and they bid lower coming from Missouri. And I just have concern that they haven't done work here before, but you said the engineer had worked with them before?
That's correct.
But did they see these different pump stations? I mean, they've looked at them and they know.
Yes, ma'am. They have. And our engineering firm has worked with this company on 3 different construction projects in different, not in this city, but in other cities, including a 4 million gallon per day water treatment plant, and a filter rehab project, and a backwash pump project. So they're familiar with this company, and they said they haven't had any issues at all with their dependability, their crews, their timeliness, quality of work. But they did question them again about the bids and about the difference, the discrepant. There's a $175,000 difference between this bid and the second bid,
Which is a Hot Springs company.
So we wanted to make sure that they were standing behind their bid. They had issued, we have a bid bond when they submit a bid. But they went back and checked their bid. They said they feel very comfortable with it. They're willing to stand behind that bid and do the work. So based on the previous experience that the engineering firm had with them, and they're reaffirming to our engineer, that they were confident in their bid, we would like to recommend that you go ahead and award it to them.
And you're fully comfortable with
Yes,
that
ma'am.
too, right?
We are. Our staff is comfortable with that recommendation.
It's just hard to understand how they can come from out of state and be so much less, and their subs were from Northwest Arkansas, and the other subs were local in Benton, Bryant area.
Right. I appreciate what you're saying, and I agree that is unusual. Sometimes bidding is almost mysterious sometimes.
Yeah.
But this company's from Cassville, Missouri, which is really part of Northwest Arkansas metropolitan area now, and so their subs are from that area. I'm sure they're used to working together, and that's why they bid with those subs.
Have done really good jobs in that area.
Yes.
Okay.
Director Foley.
Good question, though. Very good questioning.
Mr. Carnahan,
Sir.
you said that these companies all have performance bonds.
They do.
So we don't have to worry about the performance. It's bonded.
Right.
Thank you.
They had a bid bond, and now they'll have a performance bond as part of the contract. Signing the contract. These are our significant pump stations. Just to give you a feel for, they're like in the area of the mall, the Walmart store, Riser Ford, and over in Lakeshore area. And the pipes that they pump into are 10-inch to 16 inches in diameter. So it's very important that we provide some type of backup for these large pump stations.
Thank you, Mr. Carnahan.
Thank you.
We had any other questions of Mr. Carnahan before he's excused? Thank you. We had no members of our audience signed up to speak, so if there's no further questions, we'll call the roll, please.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye.
Stopped.
Next item of business is to consider, resolution approved. Next item of business is resolution number R-17-135, and I asked Mr. Albright to please read by title.
Resolution R-17-135, a resolution authorizing an agreement with White Oak Water and Sewer Improvement District Number 49, accepting certain water and sewer improvements. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Thank you. Motion to adopt, please.
I move for the adoption.
We got a
Second.
motion by Director Williams, seconded by Director Garcia. And Mr. Carnahan will provide a report.
Yes, sir. Thank you. About 17 years ago, the White Oak Water and Sewer Improvement District was formed. It's a large system. About $1,300,000 of water and sewer pipes were installed in the area around Far Shores and Fish Hatchery Road off of Highway 290 along the lake shore, Lake Hamilton. It served 960 acres, and 160 homes were already in that system at the time this was built to provide service to those 160 homes. They borrowed the money, as you know, $800,000 of sewer improvements, about $500,000 of water improvements, and over the period of time, with the special tax that was created, that indebtedness has been paid off. And so the Water and Sewer District would now like to have the city accept those assets into the city system, and then they will close out the Water and Sewer District. They'll vote to terminate that district since it served its purpose.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Carnahan? Thank you.
All right.
We had no members of the public sign up to speak. Did you have a question?
I do.
Pardon?
I do.
Director Foley?
When developers create these special districts, do they have a written agreement with the city that we will take those assets after the bonds are paid off?
Most of them do. Actually, there have been a couple of smaller ones that have just gone over and filed that district. But these larger ones, and especially these that were there were a lot of these that were formed back in the 1980, 1990, 2000 period of time to get rid of a lot of the septic tank systems that were around the lake and eliminate pollution into Lake Hamilton. So those all had written agreements with the city of their intent to turn those over to the city at that time. And the city agreed to those and took over immediately the maintenance of the water and sewer pipes. And part of that agreement, too, is that the city then billed the customers and the city received all the revenues for the water and sewer monthly bills.
I'm trying to understand the process. So when the city agrees to take that, is that a board resolution that they do that by? And now we just close it out by accepting the assets?
Right. We can't accept the assets since there's a lien on those assets. So until
Yes.
that lien is removed, we can't officially accept them.
Okay, but there is a board that has approved it long ago?
Right.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments? Please call the roll.
Clark,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye. Resolution is adopted. Our next order of business is to consider ordinance number 01731. But in order to move forward, we'll need to entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
Got a motion by Director Clark, seconded by,
Jones.
who made the second?
Lane
Director
Jones.
Director Jones, thank you. We have a motion, a second. All who wish to suspend the rules and read by title only, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Council, please read the ordinance by title.
Ordinance 01731, an ordinance approving CTR zoning on 0.2 acres at 105 Emory Street, amending the future land use plan map to designate the area neighborhood commercial and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would now entertain a motion second to adopt.
Thank you. Motion to adopt,
I move for the adoption.
Director
Second.
Williams, second by Director Jones. We have staff report from Planning Director Kathy Selman.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. The applicant on this item is Dow Investments, LLC, and the applicant is seeking approval to change zoning from R3, low, medium density residential, to CTR, Commercial Transitional District, at unimproved property located approximately 105 Emery Street. It's currently has a future land use plan map designation of residential medium high and is located in Board of Directors District Number 4. Adjacent CTR zone properties have a future land use classification of neighborhood commercial center. The approximately 0.2 acre site is at the eastern terminus of Emery Street near its intersection with Higdon Ferry Road. Surrounding land uses on the subject property are residential properties with zoning designation R3 to the northwest and southwest, and commercial properties zoned CTR, Commercial Transition, to the northeast, east, and south. And Central City Shopping Center is just across Higdon Ferry Road to the east. Arkansas Department of Transportation recently completed road improvements along Higdon Ferry Road, and during that, additional right-of-way was acquired from properties along both sides of the segment of Higdon Ferry. As a result of right-of-way acquisition, Dow Investments LLC office parcel located at 814 Higdon Ferry Road lost land area and a portion of their off-street paved parking area. In the application, the applicant successfully demonstrates that the standards for favorable consideration have been met according to Hot Springs Code 16-11. Planning Commission established a basis for their recommendation to the board that the proposed change demonstrates compatibility with surrounding zoning and development and responds to a significant change in surrounding physical conditions, that being the improvement and widening of Higdon Ferry Road. The property should be redesignated Neighborhood Commercial Center on the future land use plan map to be consistent with property designated CTR. On August 10th, the Planning Commission duly advertised and held a public hearing. After calling for testimony, they voted 8-0 to recommend that the board adopt an ordinance amending the zoning map and future land use plan map, zoning the property CTR, and designating the future land use as neighborhood commercial center. So the recommendation to you is that you consider and approve the ordinance with Planning Commission's findings.
Thank you. Any questions of Director Selman? No questions. We'll move to the public. We have one gentleman who's signed up to speak, Mr. Andrew Cliff. I had a choice, and I took the wrong one.
Thank you, Board and Mayor.
Thank you.
My name is Andrew Click. I am the Hot Springs Area Manager for Dow Building Services at 184 Higdon Ferry Road. Speaking on the ordinance to rezone the undeveloped property at 105 Emery Street, contiguous to our current property. We are seeking to rezone the property to regain the parking space given to the Highway and Transportation Department at the time of the Higdon Ferry expansion. The economic development of this property will allow Dow Building Services to continue growing with additional parking spaces needed for its 60-plus employees. If approved, we will hire B&F Engineering to do the property engineering to make sure that we comply with all the city requirements. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of the applicant? Director Williams.
Mr. Click, it's a habit of mine. It's from an previous occupation I had that when something comes up before this board that's in my district, I go out and look at it. And he pointed out to me before the board meeting tonight that they had me on the security camera standing in their parking lot. That lot, you can't really, well, it's pulled down now, but that lot that you're purchasing, it really kind of, for lack of a better word, kind of reminds me of a ravine or gully.
Yes,
So I assume it's your intention to fill that in so that you can gain those additional parking spaces.
Yes, sir.
But you don't intend to take it all the way to the boundary of the adjoining property where there's a house?
No, sir.
Okay. About how far do you think you'll be going?
Probably, we have to wait for the engineerings to decide, but we were thinking of going as far as where the sewer cuts through the property.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you need some additional parking there because I can see that you had backed everything out as far as it would go, and it's kind of tight. You have to pay attention to what you're doing when you come through there. So I can see that, and I would support what you're doing.
Any other questions of the applicant? Thank you.
Thank you.
There be no further, any other comments amongst board members? Please call the roll.
Williams,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Folly,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. This time we'll consider ordinance number 01732. Would like to entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
A motion to
Second.
approve by Director Clark, or to suspend the rules by Director Clark, and seconded by Director Garcia. All in favor of suspending the rules, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Motion is approved. Council, please read by title.
Ordinance 01732, an ordinance approving manufactured home overlay zoning on 9.7 acres at 340 Molly Springs Road and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Thank you. Motion to adopt?
So moved.
Motion by Director Jones, seconded by
Second.
Director Davidson. Staff report from Director Selman.
Thank you,
Planning
Mayor.
Director Selman.
The applicant and property owner, Richard Hesse III, is seeking approval by the Board of Directors to establish a new manufactured home overlay, MHO, at approximately 340 Molly Springs Road. It's about 9.7 acres, currently unimproved, zoned R4, medium-high density residential, has a future land use plan map designation of residential medium-high, and it is located in Board of Directors District Number 4. Before I go into the specifics of this request, I want to do it just a little reminder that a manufactured home overlay is just that. There is zoning on this property. It's R4, and there is no request to change that R4 zoning. It's R4 tonight. If you approve it in 30 days, it's still going to be R4, but there will be an additional option for future development, and that is to allow the placement of manufactured homes on the land, which is currently not a possibility at this time. So thank you for bearing with me on that. The site is surrounded by residential properties also zoned R4. It's bordered on the north by the Arkansas Midland Railroad, which crosses the city on an east-west axis. Subject property is currently wooded and unimproved, and approximately 2.2 acres of the site is located in a floodplain. In the city right now, there are 19 existing manufactured home overlays. That's approximately 706 acres cumulatively. Only one manufactured home overlay is located west of Central Avenue. That's 2.5 acres located on Lura Place, and that was approved in December of 2002. The request does implement an approved city plan as the 2010 Comprehensive Plan Update, also known as Hot Springs 2030, states in Chapter 2, helping Hot Springs residents live affordably, reflected in the percentage of income devoted to housing and transportation cost, is a planning concept that appears throughout the updates transportation and housing policy. Making housing affordable to community residents means more than simply lowering home prices. It involves creating a dynamic living market environment that supports housing choice, transportation choice, and community development, all in a way that is affordable to Hot Springs residents. The finding on this request is that the proposal by the applicant for manufactured home overlay at unimproved property located at approximately 340 Molly Springs Road demonstrates compatibility with surrounding development and zoning and is consistent with the objectives of the zoning code and the future land use plan. This change will expand the number of affordable housing options available to those residing in the western half of the city of Hot Springs. Planning Commission duly advertised and held a public hearing on August 10th, at which time they called for testimony. 5 people did testify. They generally were either asking for information or indicating that they did not think this was a good idea, despite the findings of the staff report. Planning Commission voted 8-0 that the recommendation to the board should be to approve an ordinance amending the zoning map as requested, along with and to establish the manufactured home overlay on the property. That's it.
Any questions of Ms. Selman? Director Garcia.
Yes. On this property with the R4, how does that allow for about how many manufactured homes? Is it over 100?
On this many acres?
Yes, ma'am.
That's impossible to say at this time. We do not have the detailed engineering and floodplain analysis done. So in terms of knowing how things can be arranged, I can tell you that the R4 zone district allows for up to 12 units per acre without Planning Commission approval, and in excess of that, Planning Commission can consider and approve if satisfied that the requirements of the code are being met.
And does this overlay allow for the mobile home or manufactured home park, where it would allow just to put in the hookups and sell the lease for the property to hook up for an owner to come in and rent space to put their manufactured home?
That would be a possibility, as well as subdividing the land and allowing placement of individual homes, just as could occur without the overlay, only they would have to be stick-built on site.
And is there a plan?
There is no plan.
There's no plan.
There is not. All this does is establish this as an option, and if there is a proposal that would have more than one unit on the site, if it's not divided, then that will have to come back to Planning Commission for site plan approval.
I didn't understand that statement.
There's 9+ acres at this time. The owner could, although I do not believe he indicated this was his goal, just come in and place his own personal residence on 9.7 acres. If multiple units were to be placed, and this is not different for stick-built or manufactured, then that would require approval of a detailed site plan by Planning Commission.
My math and correct me if I'm wrong, the site is 9.7 acres. I believe you said 2.6 acres are in a floodplain, so therefore they're probably not going to be developed for residential properties or even manufactured homes. That will leave 7.1 acres that could be developed logically. All right.
Yep.
Any other further questions of Director Selman? Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comments from the board?
Thank you.
Hearing none, please call the roll.
Do we have any speakers signed up?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we do. Mr. Richard Hesse III. Please come down. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Board. Yes, we'd like to change the zoning overlay, but not the zoning for that piece of property. And our goal is to make more affordable housing available if people would like to in the city of Hot Springs. As you so kindly said, if we sell a lot, it just gives them the opportunity to put a manufactured or anything that's built off-site on that property. They could also build a stick-built home there if they wished. In regards to how many units, the engineers will help us decide that, obviously. But there is the railroad on the back edge of the property, and you have to be roughly 175 feet from that for a resident. So you lose quite a bit of the land for that as well. So, yeah, it's going to limit the amount of lots quite a bit. Yes, sir.
Director Williams?
Yeah, Mr. Hesse, I observed that on the corner of Molly Springs and Airport Road,
Yes, sir.
there is a facility that sells manufactured homes.
That's correct.
You're not in any way connected with that business, are you?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And one thing I'd like to add, thank you for that, is not only is there a large facility there that sells mobile homes that you have to pass through to get to the property, any other direction you come to the property, you have to pass an existing older mobile home to get to it. So it's not like we're trying to add something that's not already in the area as well.
Any further questions? Director Clark,
I have one back from Ms. Selman, whenever.
please. Yeah.
Is there an age limit or for for manufactured homes being brought into the city?
There is, and it is the age that corresponds with the most recent manufactured home code, and that it's October 26,
1994.
Yes.
October
That's-
25th, 1994.
All right, that's it.
Okay.
October 25th, 1994.
And nothing built before that date can
Yes.
be moved into the city limits. Okay.
Yes.
So, once again, with my math, you could have a unit up to 23 years old moved in there?
You need to have a unit that is code compliant with that code.
With the 94 code, or?
Yes. Or should that be superseded by another code? This is a federal code we were talking about. Then that would be the code.
So what would be the oldest?
23 years.
23 years?
Yes.
Just like I said, okay.
Yep.
All right.
Thank
I
you.
didn't want to confuse date of code with manufacturer. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions of Mr. Hesse? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Any discussion amongst the board?
Is there, did anybody sign up that was opposed to this to speak?
I have a sheet here. Did you want to speak, sir?
Yes, I'd like to.
Please come forward. I think I had the sign-up sheet before you got here, so.
I'm James Nemo, 349 Molly Springs. I'd just like to express my feelings. I think it's probably going to be y'all's feelings too. I don't want to live across the street from a trailer park. You know, we've got a nice little quiet neighborhood. The houses are small, older homes, but there are homes and we like it. Now, if he wanted to put in a couple of nice little homes over there, that'd be fine. Also, this flood zone deal is bigger than it looks. Now, maybe only a few acres are zoned that way. It didn't look like that from your map. But there is a lot of water that comes through there and through that creek. And when he came in and bush hogged or brush cut everything that was 5 inches or less, the first rain we got, my yard flooded. Front, back, sides. All the drainage ditches on this small road filled up with his debris, the culverts under my driveway. I spent the next day cleaning all that mess up. And with mobile homes, we're going to have increased traffic. This road's barely, you'd call it 2 lanes. I guess it's 20 feet. No shoulders because you have to have a ditch for that water. And traffic, noise, trash, and crime. Had a Malvern deputy sheriff doing some yard work in the property next to mine the other day and told him about it, and he just said, "Oh God, here comes the meth." Shook his head. And let's see. Basically, that's pretty much it. I'm curious who Castle Homes are, as he had in his little letter there as an email I never heard of. And I just know that when he gets in there and starts moving dirt around, we're going to have flooding problems. My property, my neighbor's property. The whole neighborhood or my whole street was there during that first zoning thing, which is pretty much just a waste of everybody's time. I didn't understand that. But, and I'm sure they're disappointed or didn't know about this meeting, so they didn't show up. But our whole street was there against having a mobile home park across the street in our neighborhood. I'm sure you wouldn't want one in your neighborhood. Any questions to me? Oh, and it will affect our property values, as you all know. I guess that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just
Let me
one-
bring, Director Garcia.
How long have you lived at this residence?
Over 10 years, and my front yard has never flooded before. He came in there and, I mean, if he'd have picked the mess up, maybe not have been so bad. One large log went down the creek, hit my bridge, knocked it off, tore it up. It's going to have to be tore down and rebuilt, which I don't have time or money to do, but I guess I'll find it.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Director Salmon, can you come back up, please, just for clarification? I'm always sensitive to property owners that we just heard, but you had indicated earlier that if there's more than one structure put on, that there's going to be a total site review with, proper, engineering work and layout and that will go before the Planning Commission. Will
Yes,
go
it
for
will.
the staff. The staff will review it, make a recommendation to Planning Commission. The property owners in that vicinity will be able to participate in that process as well. Tonight we're not approving any homes there. We're just approving an overlay.
No. The option for a different type of house construction is what you are considering tonight. The R4 zone is the most dense residential zone in the city. It provides the possibility of, as I said, up to 12 lots or houses per acre. Now, without this requested change, it also supports multifamily housing now without this change. So this is an intense zone, the R4 zone.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you. Further questions or discussion amongst board members? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Garcia,
No.
Foley,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Williams,
No.
McCabe.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Ordinance is adopted. Our last business item of tonight is to consider ordinance number 01733. We'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved,
A
Mayor.
motion by Director Jones, seconded by
Second.
Director Davidson. We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read by title only. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion is adopted. Council, please read by title only.
Ordinance 01733, an ordinance setting the time of regular meetings of the Board of Directors of the City of Hot Springs, Arkansas, amending ordinance number 5635, and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Motion
I
to
so
adopt.
move.
Director Jones, seconded by
Second.
Director Garcia. We have a staff member. Is it Lance?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. City Clerk Lance Spicer.
This item comes to the board. Essentially what this does is change your meeting time. As you know, your meeting times are the first and third Tuesdays of the month. The time of day is 7 p.m. There was a request made to adjust this time to 6 p.m. And really state law, it gives you a lot of leeway in the days you meet, the times you meet. However, they do need to be made public and so that the public can be well informed and aware. And this ordinance here will amend an existing ordinance. You keep with your first and third Tuesdays of the month, although this will change the meeting time from 7 p.m. to 6 p.m. So that's what the item before you is this evening. And it will start, it'll start at your next regularly scheduled meeting, which is September 19th, 2017.
So is there emergency clause with this ordinance?
It's ministerial in duty. There's no emergency necessary.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments regarding this ordinance?
I'd just like to say that as a person who works, I'm going to vote no on this because it's very difficult for me to get here by 6 o'clock. And that is why. That's the only reason.
Understood. Any other comments?
Would another time, did you want to amend it?
I wanted it at 7 o'clock, so.
Oh, okay.
No. I feel like there are members of the public that'll have the same issues.
Yeah, we know that the quorum court meets at 6. A lot of their committee meetings meet earlier than that. We can certainly always move it back if we have an issue. I think I'm very sensitive to making sure that we avail ourselves to the public and for them to be able to come and participate. And it could be a challenge. And we'll might need to keep the sign-up sheet up a little longer because it takes us 15 minutes or so just to get into the meat of the meeting. And that would allow anybody who comes a little later to still participate.
In the alternative, and I'm respectful of my friend Director Clark's predicament she finds herself in, but sometimes it does take us a long time to get in the flow of the meeting, and in those meetings where we have a lot of people show up, we're often here past 10 o'clock. And I know there are past boards that meet till midnight.
No, not since I've been on the board.
either.
Well, I'm sorry, some of those annexation hearings went past 9 o'clock, right? Okay, all right. I stand corrected.
Well, you have to go back in time, and I'll tell you, in the early 90s, we had some 11 and midnight meetings, so. But it's all understood. I mean, one way or the other, you're either going to start early, and you're always going to end a little earlier, but If we start at 7, we end later. So we'll see how we flow, and we'll see how the vote goes, and then we'll see how we flow. Hart? Oh, please call the roll.
Folly,
Can I just ask one question
Yes.
before that? If we pass this resolution, then we really cannot change it back for 6 months. Is that correct?
Unless a member of the prevailing side asks that it be added to your agenda for reconsideration and 2/3 of the body approves that
So
change.
while
to
we
the
do it
agenda.
on a trial basis, we're really looking at 6 months. Okay, Folly votes no.
Davidson,
Could you repeat that, Mr. Foley? I didn't hear
No.
what you said. Thank you. No.
Aye.
Jones, Clark,
No.
Williams,
Aye.
Garcia,
No.
Fails.
See you at 7.
I will
Motion
see.
failed.
I thought I was doing.
Okay, now next item is Board of Directors comments. Any comments from the Board of Directors? Director Davidson, anything? Director Jones?
What's happening?
Comments? You got a comment?
Yes, when I voted for 6 o'clock, thought I was helping her because she couldn't get here for 5:30. Because it was 5:30 or 6 o'clock. And I still was wrong.
That's
Thank you.
okay.
Appreciate you trying to help.
Director Clark, do you have anything? Director Foley?
I do have a request. The changing of the time was really for us, and I wonder if we can use our website to do a little survey to find out from the public.
Yeah.
I mean, we're here to serve them, so if we can get some sentiment from the public, I think that would be beneficial to us.
Yeah. Well, as we see now, it's dark, and it won't be long. We'll change the clock, and it'll be dark at real early, and it'd be nice to try to get people out a little earlier, certainly. But we want to make our meetings available for people to participate. Director Garcia, you have anything, comments?
No, sir. Thank you.
Director Williams?
Mayor, I thought staff had asked for this,
We did.
and I still didn't know why. Which wasn't none of my business, but I was trying to help them too.
Well, you got staff, you got the city board, and you got the public, so you got 3 different audiences there. So let me it seems like it's been a month ago, but it's actually only 2 weeks ago, Saturday, that we had a freedom of speech event down at the National Park, and I asked the Assistant Police Chief Chapman if he was going to remain, because we haven't had a meeting since then, and I want to formally, on behalf of the board, thank the police department, the leadership team, and all departments for an expert, well-planned response. I have gotten
Good job.
the comments each and every day since that's occurred. People have stopped me and thanked me for the city's efforts in that. They said it was just wonderful, and as much as I appreciate their comments, and even this past weekend, I had people at the Jazz Fest talk to me, and at the Blues Festival come and talk to me. The coordination of activities at the fire station on that Saturday was really remarkable. We had, without betraying all the secrets, but we had 2 rooms going. They had the command center, and then we had what I'm going to call an auxiliary room. And we had like 6 department heads in that auxiliary room that were not law enforcement, were not fire, and they were working.
Yeah.
And they were providing information to the officers. They would, if they saw a reason for the officer to come over, they came over and saw what was going on. And the coordination was just short of, it was beyond fantastic. I think the citizens of Hot Springs and the greater Hot Springs area should be very proud and be very comforted knowing that our leadership team was able to put together a plan that eliminated or minimized any possibility of an untoward event. Coming off the heels of Charlottesville, Virginia, we can say, we're a small town in the middle part of the United States, but all eyes could have been on us very easily. And there were no eyes on us because of the performance of the police department, the fire department. The police department, they mobilized. They had layers upon layers upon layers of support. And the same can be said of the fire department, because the fire department moved a lot of assets up on Park Avenue, which pulled assets from other parts of the town. And they worked with other volunteer fire departments and other municipal fire departments to fill in those gaps. And even the fire department had multiple layers, depending on not what would happen in downtown Hot Springs, but what would happen in other areas of Hot Springs that were totally unrelated to the downtown activity, because they wanted to make certain that they had all the bases covered, and that what was going to go on, whatever happened in downtown, was not going to affect the fire services throughout the community. So, and the staff reports that, I think Chief Stacy had about 2 or so, where he had everybody get in one room and said, okay, here's where we're at, and then he would release people. But we had sanitation there, we had fleet services there, we had tree trimming going on in the middle, just in this event. If they saw a tree that obscured the view, John Faulkner got his people out there, and they were doing tree trimming, and utilities was in the room. Everybody was ready to go, and that's just their leadership. Now the employees were off ready to go, and if we needed something. So this was a very, very good plan, and it's one of those things where people might say, well, boy, this was kind of a non-issue. Well, it was a non-issue because we planned very well. Mm-hmm. And safety is of utmost importance, and if we as a community and as a board, if we don't provide for a safe environment, then we don't really have a community. And I truly, truly believe that, and that is in all aspects of city government. We have to provide safety. So thank you, Assistant Chief and David and all the staff members, all the department heads. Yes, Drew? Mr. Drew Terry.
We are so privileged, y'all, in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And I think y'all have known for many years that we've had a group of ladies that have met together for over 30 years and praying for our city, and don't think we weren't alerted. And many of our churches were alerted to really be praying, and they still pray every day for this city. We are so blessed. Thank you.
Thank you, Drew.
Thank you, Drew. Drew had me read the Bible one day in the 100-degree weather outside, but I did it.
All right. On that note, thank you, and we will accept a motion to adjourn. If there's no other
so
comment.
move, Mr.
We got a motion by Director Jones, seconded by Director Davidson.
Second.
She nodded.
No, chickens.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Be careful out there. Drive home safely. Thank you.